regarding Seagull's video, the State of Overwatch. At the beginning, he asks, am I the only one who finds Overwatch to be really frustrating these days? I would say no. And I'm assuming that you would say no.
Yeah, no, it's really frustrating.
Okay. So first question I want to ask is just a little kind of introduction. What is your rank? What is your highest rank? And what do you imagine is your overall playtime? Overall, your accounts.
My current rank is unplaced.
Right.
I've
What
been
was your
unplaced.
last? Your last.
I've been unplaced the last 3 or 4 seasons, except for the alt accounts that I played on
Right.
with like you guys. So
So like gold plat.
diamond.
Is where you last played. Was diamond gold plat.
Yeah, like 3,300. But when I stopped placing those other accounts, they were 40-20 or something like that, and then like 37-38.
So about GM.
Yeah, Masters and GM. Mostly Masters.
And then for how many hours do you think you have played Overwatch? You can ballpark it because I know you have a lot to add up here.
Thousands. I have flat border, 3 silver borders, one of them which is about to be gold. I have another bronze border that's about to be silver border. I don't know. I had thousands of.
Seeing 80%. I'm silver border 4-star. I've played for over both my accounts probably about 1,000 hours. We can multiply that probably by 5 and say you've played for 5,000 hours at the very least.
80% of my life since Overwatch has been released has been in Overwatch. So
right. All right. My rank, I'm currently at like 2,300. I think the highest rank that I retained for a while there was like 2,900, and I constantly am just slipping in and out of gold and plat. So I'm not really. I'm very average. My overall playtime is about 1,000 hours.
Yeah, I forgot the highest rank that I achieved was just under 4,300.
Okay, that's actually good to know. All right, so when was the last time or the last season you can genuinely remember having serious fun on the game?
When like consistently was one of the seasons a lot of people hated. It was like the early half of Overwatch League, the Mercy meta. I didn't hate it as much as most people did. It Yeah, I still found enjoyment in that season, especially since a lot of people were having to play Mercy that didn't know how to play Mercy. So despite Mercy being really strong and in every game, you could take advantage of that if you knew how to.
Okay. So what was that, like season 7, 8?
Season 7, probably. Season 7 or 8.
7 or 8. All right.
I mean, I guess I had enjoyment after it. There was a point where I didn't enjoy it, but then there was a part of Briggs release when everyone was before Goats, when people were playing Deathball and I could play Zarya again. And we queued as like, this was only ever queuing with multiple people. I never enjoyed it solo, but queuing with multiple people, we'd just play like Mercy, Briggs, Zarya, and shit stomp everybody in competitive. So
yeah,
this is all strictly competitive. I'm not talking about
right.
Like,
no scrims, no quick play. This is ranked ladder based on what Seagull was talking about in his video. Me personally, I feel like I had a lot of fun in the early seasons. Definitely season 1, even though I placed and barely played after that. Probably seasons 1 through 5 were when I had the most fun on the game. After that, it was just kind of like, well, I have to rank and I have to play comp because that's how you play Overwatch, you know? I just kind of felt like going through it. And definitely I've had good games since then that I've had fun with, but I haven't really... There's a very specific cutoff you can see where my playtime in comp goes way down on both of my accounts.
And I was one of those people who I really enjoyed Overwatch, and for the longest time I was playing it in scrims at a higher level, and then sort of moving down when I tried to make our own team, when I tried to get Chaos going up again. But before that, I was playing scrims at a higher level. But because of that, I had to. It's harder for me and my like ADHD and my eyesight and everything to maintain my like mechanical skill.
Right.
So because of that, I was constantly playing competitive outside of scrims. So I'd have times where I'd play for 2 days straight playing competitive, right? And this happened often. This was like twice a week I'd play for 2 days straight, and then I'd sleep for like half a day.
I
So
think I remember that.
and this went on for a while. And I have to say, if when you're playing for like 36, 40 hours straight, it has nothing to do with being tired and anything like that, because I was on a lot of like Rockstar and shit. But like,
which have probably
of those
significantly shortened your
games,
lifespan, but we won't talk about that.
of those games, like especially in these later seasons, like maybe like Seagull said he like 30% of his games were unenjoyable. Like it is the opposite for me. It's like 30% of my games were enjoyable, maybe. And like most of the time they were unenjoyable. It's probably less than 30%. It was like, of those games, 1 in 5 were legitimately fun, and it has nothing to do with winning or losing. Because even if you're winning, it can be
a roll
boring,
is
or
never
it can
fun for
be,
either side.
even if it's not a roll, even if it's like a hard fought victory, you can't. There wasn't enjoyment in it because it was just cancerous, you know? It was like Doomfist and Briggs, or like Widowmakers and all this shit, and then toxic teammates to the point where you have to leave chat, because I used to get chat banned all the time, and then I'm going on like a year without being chat banned, but it's because like I just leave chat and yeah, everything's fine. But it's like that shouldn't be the case where I have to leave chat because these people are so retarded that if I try and tell them something to win the game, they're gonna take it as toxicity, even if I'm being super fucking nice. And then I like, if I'm up for 2 days straight, then that's when I start to get more toxic towards people in games, right? But fuck, what was the point of? Oh yeah, like if you're playing games and you're winning games, but your teammates are still being toxic, it's like, okay, you can try really hard to carry a game in multiple ways. Like people don't realize how many different ways you can carry a game. Like just in terms of, it's not just, oh, I played Widowmaker and I killed everyone. There's a lot more to carrying a game in Overwatch, in terms of like how you're going to outplay the enemy, how you're going to play mind games with the enemy, how you're going to play mind games with your teammates, because you have to treat your teammates as an enemy, which is really, really stupid. You have to like literally suck off some dude's dick in order to get him to do what you want to do. And it's just not fun, you know? Like I used to play Mercy season 1, right? And season 2, I would play like Mercy and Diva and a little bit of Reaper. But like doing that and learning how to control people via mind games was not fun for me. I didn't want to do that. So then that's when I went and got a lot better at DPS and off tank and worked on my mechanics, which were non-existent at the time. And that's when I got to like Diamond and then Masters and everything. And it's just the games are not enjoyable no matter what happens. It's very rare that you get an enjoyable game. And most of the times when I get an enjoyable game, I'm either stacking with like 6 people and
treating it like a pug.
We're usually smurfing. Like we're usually playing in Diamond or Plat with a bunch of Masters players for the most part. And we're able to get away with playing dive. Right. You know, like it's usually the games where you're not running Brig, or the enemy's Brig is so bad that you can play dive, that are enjoyable.
So then you kind of said something there that led into the next question. I was just going to ask your opinion on the coin flip, but you said you thought like maybe 20% of your games were enjoyable, so it was like a 20-80% rather than the 50-50. Yeah. I think I mostly agree with the coin flip type analogy for me personally. However, I have been getting tilted pretty easily. So recently, in the last like 4 or 5 seasons or so, I'd probably say it's like a 30-70 for me. As far as good versus bad.
The problem with the coin flip for me is that if you can enjoy your games a lot more, and it's really sad that this is how you can enjoy your games, but if you play on an alt, you don't care about the SR, you leave the chat entirely, and you chill with other people, whether or not they're playing the game with you, and you just talk, and you play whatever the fuck you want, even if it's throwing the game, and you just have fun playing that hero. And if that hero happens to be Tracer and the enemy, and you happen to do pretty good in plat, but then the enemy Smurf decides to go McCree, then they have a Roadhog, and then they have a Brig, well, then it's kind of hard to find enjoyment in playing Tracer into all of that, you know?
Yeah. So then actually, you're doing very well with the segues, my friend here, and you don't even know the questions. So about the hard counters that he was talking about. Something I kind of took from that was it used to be like abilities countering abilities, and now it's heroes countering heroes.
Yeah.
So what thoughts?
I enjoyed abilities countering abilities a lot more than heroes, but that's not to say you can't have both. And he says he brought up ultimates in his video also, right?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that later as well.
Those used to not be as big of a problem because of the dive and ability counterplay style. Like if you look up Genji can't blade against Rijay Hong on YouTube, there's like 50 different montages of him of Anna getting sleep darts on Genji nano blades. It's like, okay, your sleep dart just countered 2 ultimates that are supposed to be a team wipe. You don't even need to use like a sound barrier or anything.
Right.
Like the fact that ultimates are so powerful just has to do with the meta that we're in with playing goats and tanks and different things counter different things. And a lot of people think it's just tanks grinding up against tanks, when in reality it's not. It's like there's so many different variations of goats. Like, are you going to run a Roadhog over a Zarya? Well, is the enemy team running Pharah and Wrecking Ball? Are they trying to counter goats, or are they running goats themselves, you know? Like, there's a lot of different ways on how you have to play goats depending on if the enemy team's running goats or not. But to an uninformed player, it just looks like tanks smashing up against tanks. And to the informed player playing those roles, well, it's boring as shit because you're a bunch of tanks stacked up on top of each other. And as long as your healer doesn't die, you don't die.
Right. Yeah.
Whichever Zarya gets enough damage off first, gets their grab first, can sometimes win the fight. You know? Like... And then there are these comps designed to counter goats with displacement, like Pharah and Hammond comps, with like maybe a Widowmaker even, because they can displace them. Widow can get a headshot. Pharah the old Pharah used to be able to get a bunch of ult off all of the tanks, but now their splash damage is lower. That counters it kind of less now.
Let's actually, let's talk about goats. I'm going to move the order of my questions a minute here. So I think goats at low rank is definitely very different from goats at high rank. The only time I've seen...
Goats at low rank, sorry.
Well, the only time I've seen it work at my rank, average rank, gold, plat, whatever, is one time, it was the last game I could bring myself to play when I was placing both accounts in one night. I think it was last season. It was on King's Row, and we went 9-8. And in the second round, I was like, let's do goats. And somehow it worked. And it has never worked for me since at my rank.
Well, the thing about King's Row is it's so close-knit that if so many teams coming out of spawn at the same time, you're forced to group up. The reason why Ghost doesn't work at a low rank is because no one groups up, and then everyone tries to play Moira, and I've seen you guilty of this too. Every now and then I tune into your stream and I see you playing Moira, and everyone's all split up, and I'm just sitting here and like, play Anna, please, or something. Like,
yeah.
If you're gonna play Moira and your team doesn't group up, Moira's useless. Like, you get way more value out of picking another hero, whether that hero is Mercy, so you can fly to everyone, or Ana, so you can shoot everyone from the back, or Zen. Like,
I just got called
Moira,
out.
everyone has to. Well, it's not just you.
No. I got
I
you.
see this in low ranks all the fucking time, and it pisses me off because every time I see a Moira in a low rank, it's like, well, you're is automatically a loss, because if you're a good Moira, chances are you're at a higher rank because she's so strong in the meta.
Right. All right. What do you think about Brig? You said you enjoyed her at first, but now what's up?
Oh, I hate her. Even when they first announced her on PTR, I was like, no, I don't like this. I'm gonna play as much competitive while I can, because I knew what was coming. I knew it was gonna be no more dive. And dive, while it was the meta for the longest time in the pro scene, it is arguably the most skillful meta. And there were counter dive comps, but they weren't. They were a lot harder to play, and it was a much easier to just mirror dive yourself or play another version of dive.
Right.
And I feel like if they had some of the buffs to heroes that they have now, you know, like the Reaper buff and the McCree buff that's coming, like if they had a lot of these buffs and maybe reworked some of the abilities very slightly, you know, like made McCree's flashbang more reliable to hit and all these things like that. Like, you could try and run a counter dive comp to counter them diving you rather than running dive yourself. And there would be a lot more skillful games if Brig was not in the game, because now it doesn't matter if they're nerfing Brig to a point where you don't play goats anymore. If the enemy team has a tracer that's doing really well, you just, rather than dedicating another tracer to deal with that tracer like it was in dive, you literally just pick Brig and have Brig counter the tracer. And that's all the Brig is doing. The Brig isn't playing with your tank anymore.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I hate Brig. She's a fucking bitch. I
wanted to talk about something.
I find her existence impossible. Yeah, what's up?
I want to talk about something you said in the beginning of your video. You brought up lower ranks, Golden Plat, which I too have played in a lot, playing with you guys.
Right.
And I actually have a little bit different of an opinion on it, if you don't mind.
Sure. Go for it.
You said there were 3 things. One was mechanical skill, one was like smart / game sense, and what was the third one? I forget.
Awareness.
Okay. You said if you're missing one of those, then you're fucked. And that's something Brig. Versus Brig. I don't necessarily agree with that. I agree that Brig is, like Seagull said, a noob stomper. She is extremely easy to get value out of on lower ranked players, especially squishy players. However, I think that you would have to be missing 2 of those, if not all 3.
That's fair.
Depending on which ones you're missing, in order to not be able to outplay her yourself.
That's fair.
Because if you look at what you're talking about objectively, every game has a winner and a loser, right? And this is something I hear a lot of people saying, like, oh, pick Brig and win. Well, both teams have Brig, who's winning.
Right.
There's always a loser, there's always a winner if you look at it objectively. And as someone who studied game sense and everything first before my mechanical skill, like, you can outplay Brig. Like, the best way, even when Brig was first released, to counter Brig was not mechanical skill. It was outplaying her with, like, game sense and positioning and shit, right? So you could have the mechanical skill of a donkey. You could be playing with your feet, and you could still counter Brig if you had smarts and you had game sense. And if you're upset that the enemy team has a Brig, just pick Brig yourself. It's stupid that you have to do that, but what's keeping you from being as good as the enemy Brig? I doubt that every single game you're playing, the enemy Brig is a GM Smurf.
Oh,
and
right.
You're a misunderstood bronze player. Like,
absolutely not. I just I think where my opinion stems from that. And I also agree with you in the sense of you'd probably need to be missing two of those things. Although I think that if one of those things is bad enough, then you're going to get fucked. But shit, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, one of the points though is like Brig is just so easy. Something I did not I have not mentioned to like anyone except two people is I have made a third account. And I named it Delete Brig, and I was playing only Brig on it. And I have not leveled it up quite to competitive status. But in the games that I had, I have like 10 minutes of Brig playtime on both of my other accounts, both my mains. And in the short time that I played her on that account, I haven't logged into it for like 3 months, but I was looking at my stats on Overbuff, Oversumo, all of the tracking stats, and they are easily so much higher than both of my stats on my main account. On my main accounts, which I find ridiculous because I am pretty solidly gold plat, and it was giving me diamond type stats, high diamond type stats, stuff like that, and I don't. She is so easy. She's so incredibly easy. It's disgusting. You know? So it's like, the Brig barely even needs to be a GM master diamond smurf even to do well against somebody, you know?
No, she doesn't. But I was just using that as like.
Oh, yeah. No, that's just a quick little point. Let's see. So moving on from Brigida, who were the 3 best heroes you think that Overwatch added to the game where you thought that it was going to go up? You thought that the tables were turning.
I don't know if there were 3. I mean, Orisa made another play style.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Anna, obviously. I played Anna when they first released her on PTR all the way up until she was meta, and like before they nerfed her, I would have stats where like especially on like first point Numbani, where I'd heal like 50, 60, 75% of team damage as Anna, and then the team would just be like, well, we yelled at you for trying to pick Anna. Holy shit, you know, like we first
yeah.
hold on defense, and then on attack, I just nano the Genji and we win. And this was back when she first came out, and she was a million times stronger than she was now. It was ridiculous. People just didn't know how to play her, didn't have the mechanical skill. Like, I think she was the only hero where I thought that at release, it was like a good release and the game was going to go up, you know? Mm-hmm. Sombra, I thought, was disappointing. Doomfist, I thought he was strong. I didn't really play him much, and I didn't play against him much. No one really played him, so I didn't have too strong of an opinion for him on launch.
Mm-hmm.
I hated Moira's release. I hated Briggs' release.
So pretty much just Ana and Orisa.
Yeah.
I think I agree with you. I really can't think of a third that I was really
I didn't
super
like
Hammond
either. I thought it was too gimmicky. Like,
oh yeah,
they keep going. They keep going in these really stupid directions where it's like, yeah, he's gonna counter the shitty meta and maybe make it better, except people still aren't playing that much because they haven't had enough practice with it, and that doesn't mean it's gonna be fun, you know?
Right.
And that's my problem with Overwatch going forward in the future is unless they legitimately delete Brig, which I do not think they're going to do. Overwatch will never return to what it used to be because she's always going to be there, no matter how much she gets nerfed. Unless they nerf her to the point where she cannot solo kill somebody with the stun, which would make her almost useless. She would have to be a hero designed around her ultimate, which they've already nerfed. They have to buff it again. Then she's always going to be there. The game will never return to what it was. and you can counter her with a wrecking ball comp, but it's not fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be fun to play with. It's not going to be fun to play against, you know? Like, have you ever enjoyed Hammond at all?
No.
Ever?
No. I think on PTR I swung around with him once
Brig?
and then I giggled and then I never. No, I don't even enjoy playing Brig.
Have you ever enjoyed Orisa?
Yeah. I do like Orisa. I'm bad at her, but I like her.
Like,
gotta admit.
half of these heroes that they've released, you said you don't like.
Yeah, more than half. I hate Doomfist. I hate Brig. I like Sombra
I was
now.
playing Doomfist for a little while, and I liked him.
Yeah, I remember that.
But
I do like Sombra now. I like her after her rework. I'm enjoying her. I'm bad at her, but I'm practicing her, and I'm having a good time. In quick play, obviously, because honestly, just fuck ranked at this point. Did you have any more on that, by the way? Because that was good.
no, not really.
No? Alright. So does the CC in Overwatch, the crowd control, make you feel like the game is less playable?
No.
No? Okay.
It's annoying, but until Brig, most of the CC still required some sort of skill.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Anna's sleep dart, McCree's stun hit, and then hitting the headshot on Tracer? Like, even Doomfist to an extent, his CC wasn't. Most of his CC ability isn't real CC.
Mm-hmm.
And if you heard him charging up and you were playing Anna or something, you could sleep dart him, right?
Right.
Or you could try and kill him as Zen. It was hard, but it was doable, especially if you're smurfing in gold and then you just teabag the Doomfist. But
the obvious solution.
Yeah, just everyone all playing gold and teabag Doomfist when you kill him.
Will do. I will carry on your legacy.
Like with Doomfist, unless you're using your rocket punch, if you're uppercutting someone, you still have to hit him in the head with your shotgun. And it's easy, but it's not as easy as people think it is. It's one of those things where you have to actually practice and get used to it. It's not something where you can just pick him and be good like you can with Brig.
Mm-hmm.
Doomfist does have specific combos that you have to use for the most part. Otherwise, you're probably not going to get the kill. And he does have to have a lot of preset map knowledge for all of his like insta kill combos, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I can sort of get behind Doomfist. I wish there was a little more counterplay to him, but I can get behind Doomfist. The Orisa's pull, there were different ways to avoid Orisa's pull as different heroes.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you add Brig, and she can do McCree's job, but better without as much skill.
Right.
That's where the problem is.
That flashbang can be hard to land, and it was like
there's
when
a famous
she came
clip
out,
of Taimu,
she could stun for longer with less cooldown. Like that's ridiculous.
There's a famous clip of Taimu talking to his chat about like these golden plats, talking about, well, just stun the tracer, lol. Just stun the tracer, shoot her in the head. You're a pro player. You can't do that, right? He's like, yeah, just stun the tracer, you fucking golden plat players. Like,
yeah.
like it's that easy to stun an owl level tracer as McCree.
Yeah, even golds against golds. That the flashbang can be hard to land on. For me, at least, I'm not a god like you, but you know. All right.
Flashbang is not. It's not the easiest thing to land on things like Tracer.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. She's speedy quick.
Flashbang, unlike Brig's stun. While there can be a delay to it, it is instant.
That hitbox is huge.
As soon as you press the button, anything that touches you will be stunned.
Mm-hmm.
So while you can try to lead it because you have that charge, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is still instant. Whereas with McCree's flashbang, it is not instant. What is it? 0.35 or 0.6?
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but
there's a slight delay on it.
It's not instant. So not only do you have to predict where the tracer is going to be, you have to predict that with the flashbang timing as well.
Right.
And if they made McCree's flashbang instant, if there was no cast animation, that would make things a lot better, I think.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. We're almost through questions here. Okay, so here's where we get to OP Ultimates. So Seagull was talking about OP Ultimates and how recently it's become much more easy to snowball. And then he gave us a statistic. In the Overwatch League Season 1 on King of the Hill, the first team fight ended with a 64% result in winning the first map. So if you won the first team fight, it was like 64% chance
why
for that.
That is, or no?
Sure, just talk about it.
So the reason why that happens, right, is because if you win the first fight and you cap the point, you usually, if you win the first fight, you're gonna have more ult charge because you killed them, they didn't kill you, right? Mm-hmm. So if you have more ult charge and you get all your ults up first, you can either use these ults to continue the point to 99%, or if you're good enough, you can get the point to 99% or close to 99% to the point where you need one more fight to win, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the enemy team takes it. Typically, the enemy team has to invest their ultimates into taking the point from you. So if you save your ults and the enemy uses theirs, okay, you have the ult advantage. You need to win one fight, whereas they have to make it to 99% and win, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you guys can either save your ults and just win the next fight, or if you use your ults to get it there, well, now you have 100% capture time. You have 100 seconds to build up your ults. You can go take 3 fights, build up your ults, and then win an ult fight, forcing them to use ults each fight to defend the point, or you win.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you win. You win the game if you cap first 65% of the time.
Right. Yeah. Are there any specific ultimates that you think are OP, per se? That you would like to see changed or removed, or?
Honestly, not really. Like, Graviton is obviously strong, but it's been nerfed. And if you, especially with the Graviton nerfs, right? Like, you can't play Zarya into dive. She typically doesn't get a lot of energy. And with her Graviton nerf, you're not going to be able to grab as many people as you were previously, and it takes a really long time to charge. So if Brig is deleted, #delete Brig, the game will suddenly become a lot more balanced ultimate wise, right? Like, the only reason why some ults are so strong right now is because of the way the game is played. And the fact that, whereas previously, if you were to play like a Reinhardt comp on King's Row was always snowbally if you were playing Deathball on the cart.
Right.
Because Zarya herself snowballs so easily. And then that comp can snowball so easily. And then they add Brig, and then Brig just adds to the snowball. And then everyone always plays these comps everywhere now, so everywhere becomes a snowball, even if the map isn't lending itself to that.
I have noticed
if no one is playing those comps, then snowballs become a lot less.
Yeah, I've noticed in my personal play, in quick play, obviously, because I barely play ranked anymore, and in that, I even don't really play Zarya in ranked. So with Zarya, I have a hard time building my first ultimate, but as soon as I have it, I build them like that, like immediately, like after, you know? So I can definitely see that. It's like once you're in there and actually fighting, you can get the energy, you can do the damage, and then you get another ult. It's just, definitely is a snowbally hero.
I should probably say I haven't played Overwatch in like 2.5 months. The only time I played it was during the Halloween event. I played the Halloween event.
I promise you it's not much different.
I think I played like 1 or 2 games of comp and just said no.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not much different.
Up to date. I've watched a lot of videos and streamers throughout it, so I've been trying to keep up to date with everything, but I haven't actually played it myself in a little while.
Yeah, it's all pretty similar to when you left or stopped playing as much. Okay. Final question's a two-parter. Um, is Overwatch fixable? And if so, how? And what would have to happen to make you come back to the game, personally?
Personally, I'm probably gonna have to come back to it anyways if I want to continue what I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
because I need to come back to it so I can better coach people in it.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I have to go get a real world job, right?
Right.
Um, so I'm probably gonna have to come back to it anyways, personally. But what I would like to see happen, which will never happen, is them to delete Brig. Um, it's the first time I've legitimately thought that a hero in the game should be deleted.
Mm-hmm.
Even during the Junkrat meta, and I was playing Tracer, I was like, well, no, you can nerf him a little bit. I don't know if there's a way to nerf Brig.
It's her design. It's the way
Like
she's
she's too
designed.
cancerous. Oh, the what I want to see from Overwatch is I want to see them move away from gimmicks. I want to see them move away from value heroes like Moira and Brigitte and to an extent Doomfist that require little skill and more game sense in order to be good. I want to see them move back towards abilities, countering abilities, and skill shots and things like that. Like I have so many old highlight clips that like I don't even record anymore if I play because like it's not worth it. You know, it's boring. But before I could get so many highlight clips, especially if I was like smurfing or playing with you guys where I'd sleep Genjis trying to ult me. I'd right click Genjis and Zen trying to ult me. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
if I'm playing Widow and Tracer tries to fight me, I could kill Tracer. I could kill Genjis. Like it wasn't always consistent, but I have so many highlights of that happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in terms of hard counters, Genji versus Widow is the best example I can give to how the game should feel, where Genji has an advantage but you can still outplay him as Widow.
Right.
Or like Seagull said, Pharah versus Hitscan. You know,
Yeah.
you have all these different options, but you can play around it differently, especially with the new Pharah buff. You know, um, she can fire faster, so if you can concussion in and get behind them and get up close to a squishy and fire two rockets directly at them, a McCree or a soldier aren't going to be able to kill you fast enough. And Widow would have to be on so much fucking Adderall to hit that shot that it'd just be insane for her to hit that shot, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I gotcha. Um, myself
Oh,
personally. Oh, what's up?
that brought something up that I just wanted to
Yeah, yeah,
say.
yeah. No, go for it.
Everyone's saying that Adderall should be banned in the Overwatch League. Go fuck yourselves. You're telling me you don't want to see players play better? That's the whole point of the Overwatch League. Give everyone an Overwatch League an Adderall
Give
prescription.
everybody Adderall. If you want a level playing field, but you still want to see good play, give everyone Adderall. Great suggestion. Thank you. Shit. Uh, oh, so myself personally, I don't think I'll ever leave Overwatch in the sense that, most of my gameplay is just quick play with my friends. And I don't really do anything beyond that. But I don't know how much I'm going to play ranked in the future. If I do, I don't even know if I'm going to start placing my accounts anymore just because it's not worth it. If I do play ranked, it's probably going to be just the arcade ranks.
I have felt
because
that
I
for a
find
long
them
time.
fun.
I haven't placed my main accounts in probably like some of my higher accounts have been placed in like 6 or 7 seasons, sometime something like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
ever since the Mercy meta, I think I is when I stopped placing some of my accounts. And from there, more and more of my higher accounts have just not been being placed because
Mm-hmm.
I've either been playing scrims and not caring because I was already on higher ranked scrim teams, or I could do all my warm ups and my mechanics in diamond or plat or something like that, or I could play at later times of the night when I could play on a 3400 account and get 3800s in the same game, and it was good enough practice, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not like good enough practice alongside having the practice of playing in 4K scrims.
Right.
It was a good enough warm up.
I don't think I've ever done a legitimate scrim. Regardless, I think as far as fixing it, I agree with you that Brig should be gone. And going off of you saying heroes are getting too gimmicky, I think what they're doing is they're thinking about the lore and they're writing the lore for the character, and then they're giving them a kit based on the lore.
They have been doing that a lot, but the thing is also Moira came out and she was the first real hero. Like Doomfist and Sombra to an extent had these like ways where you could get value out of them without a lot of mechanical skill, but they still had mechanical skill and shit. And then Orisa you can't count because she's a fucking main tank. And she has a machine gun. So, like, she has a machine gun.
Right.
Moira was the first hero where they were similar to Mercy, and Mercy was the most played hero, right? By far. And a lot of people enjoyed that. It was the wrong voice to listen to, but it was the loudest voice. And Blizzard listened to that, and all of their heroes have been going more and more towards that style of play, which, if you ask a lot of other people, is the wrong way to go. Especially with Hammond. Like, are there any other shooters you can say where you have to kill a giant 2000 HP ball swinging around in a circle in front of your face? Like,
with a hamster inside.
What? Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, like what is that? Yeah. I loved at the beginning that the heroes were unique, but now that they're getting I don't like.
They're special butterflies now.
Yeah, I am not a fan of the concept of writing the lore first and then giving the character a kit based around the lore. I would much rather see a kitted character with a weapon.
Well, the thing is, they've ignored the lore so much for so long.
It's true.
That they're trying to make up for that in the heroes, but that's the total wrong way to go about it. Like, make more animated shorts, make more comic books, make a fucking Overwatch movie. So many people want a movie for Overwatch, right?
Oh yeah.
And Infinity War has proved that you can have like 70 main characters in one movie if you do it right. And have it still work, you know, which is the same problem Overwatch would have if it was a movie,
right,
and not a TV show. But Infinity War proved that it can work, and there's no way that Blizzard would run into trouble getting funding for an Overwatch movie. Just with sheer amount of
all the
people
shorts
that want it,
and everything they've put out as well.
Yeah, and how popular the shorts are.
They've got so much under their belt already.
I find it hard that they would struggle to find funding for that, or permission to do it, or whatever.
I agree.
Like, they are somewhat controlled by Activision, which is stupid, but
yeah, I do think that they need to kind of just like. I agree. They need to focus on their comics for lore and maybe make a movie or a TV show. I don't care. Just something that will keep Overwatch as the game and make the lore in a different area. I like having little references to the lore in the game. I like the voice lines that characters say to each other, but I'm not a fan of the way that characters are being created based off of their lore first. It hurts the playability of the characters, I think.
As much as I hate the idea of a pick ban system in Overwatch, I feel like that could be like a band-aid patch, like a temporary solution
Mm-hmm.
to the problem that they're having right now.
Yeah.
In theory, a pick ban system right now could be really, really strong and controlling with how few heroes there are in Overwatch in comparison to other games that have a pick ban system, especially the tanks and supports.
You know, if they
But
used their pick ban system right, actually,
imagine
they could see who they needed to delete.
imagine if you had a pick ban system and you like it would be controlled by main tanks, which would be a huge problem, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They would have to like limit it to specific roles, which then starts adding bias, which they wouldn't want to do. But like the problem with a pick ban system, and I think is the reason why they haven't introduced it, is because you could control what people play by banning tanks. If you ban Reinhardt, you can't play Deathball. If you ban Winston, you can't play Dive. If you
Mm-hmm.
you know like
Maybe if
you can control what people play by banning the main tank.
Maybe if they did like one ban for tank, one ban for heals, and then 2 bans for DPS since that category is so big. Maybe something like that.
I feel like you should have one. Just it'd have to be like one ban overall or something like that.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it gets
like the
too
team
strong
has to
with
decide
how
on
few
a
heroes
ban.
they're all.
Yeah. Yeah. But if they did learn though from their pick ban system, they could see who they need to delete. Brig. You know, if Brig is being banned from 45% of all games, and that's the leading ban,
they need to add another.
Obviously.
They need to add another ladder. They need to add a role select that has pick ban oriented into it, and it needs to be competitive, and it can be a separate rating, and they need to add that because that's the only that's the best band-aid patch solution they could do.
It's not going to ruin. Is having a separate ladder.
It's not going to ruin the game for people who like it how it is now, and it's going to allow other people to find much more enjoyment in it. It's not going to split your player base. It's going to bring a player base back that is left.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I like that idea of a separate ladder, or maybe multiple separate ladders.
And maybe like if it's role queue, right? The DPS can select one DPS to ban. The tanks can all agree on one tank to ban. The supports can all agree on one support to ban. Like I'm spitballing this kind of shit, but like
yeah,
it's not a horrible idea.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that. Any closing thoughts? I'm probably gonna wrap up the recording here.
No.
No? Okay. That's it. Was there anything that you liked about Seagull's video specifically that you want to talk about? Or you didn't like? Did you disagree with him on something?
No, I think I already went over it.
Okay.
I don't necessarily fully agree with his opinion on ults. I think it's based off of the way the game is being played.
Yeah, that's fair. I remember that now. It's been a while. Cool. Yeah. That's really it. Great. Thank you for letting me interview you. That was kind of weird, but fun.
Yeah.